Nothing highlights global wealth inequality more than comparing what it means to be part of the top 1% of wealthiest individuals in various countries around the world, from the crazy rich to the mega poor and everything else in between. Kenya, for example, is an East African country with an estimated population of 55 million. Despite having the largest economy in East Africa, millions of Kenyans are living below the international poverty line, defined as living on less than $1.90 per day. The majority of Kenyans are employed in the agricultural and services sectors, which provide average monthly salaries of just $345 and $332 respectively. Because of these factors, among others, you need to have a net worth of just $20,000 in order to be part of the top 1% of wealthiest individuals in Kenya. Put simply, if you sold everything you owned and paid off all of your debts, how much cash would you be left with? That's your net worth. And in Kenya, having just $20,000 to your name would make you part of the top 1%. Another country which requires a net worth of less than $100,000 in order to be considered part of the top 1% is the Philippines. The Philippines is a country in Southeast Asia with an estimated population of 117 million. It's similar to Kenya in the sense that the country offers low average salaries, with the average monthly salary estimated at just $308 for non-agricultural workers. There are millions of Filipinos living below the national and international poverty line, and as a result, in the Philippines, a net worth of $57,000 would make you part of the top 1% of wealthiest individuals. There are, of course, countries which require at least a six-figure net worth to qualify as part of the top 1%, varying from the low hundreds of thousands to upwards of nearly $1 million. For example, in order to obtain top 1% status in South Africa, you need a net worth of $109,000. India, with its eye-watering population of 1.4 billion, requires $175,000. In Mexico, the requirement more than doubles to $383,000. In Brazil, you'd need $433,000, while in Malaysia, you'd need $485,000. Romania requires $587,000, while Saudi Arabia sees a big jump to $740,000. The Czech Republic is $880,000, with top 1% status in China requiring a net worth of $960,000. Then you reach the big money, countries which require at least a seven-figure net worth to qualify as part of the top 1%. This is also where the official title of high net worth individual comes into play, defined as someone with a net worth of $1 million or more, including their primary residence. You might be surprised to hear that of the 13 countries surveyed which require millionaire status to qualify as part of the top 1%, the United Arab Emirates comes in at the bottom of the list at $1.6 million. Japan edges this out slightly at $1.7 million, while Spain has a threshold of 2.5 million. In Italy, you need 2.6 million, while in the UK, you'd need $3.3 million. Hong Kong requires 3.4 million, while both France and Singapore require 3.5 million. Ireland sits just outside the top 5, requiring $4.3 million in net worth to be part of the top 1%. Before we reveal the top 5, have a quick guess as to which countries you think require the highest net worth to be part of the top 1%. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video. Coming in at number 5 is the United States of America with $5.1 million. And I bet that many of you put the US higher than the number 5 spot. At number 4 is New Zealand with $5.2 million, while its neighbor Australia claims the number 3 spot with $5.5 million. The country which requires the second highest net worth to be classified as top 1% is Switzerland, requiring $6.6 million. And then there was one. This last country is on a different level to all of the other countries mentioned so far. Reason being, it is the only country which requires an 8-figure net worth to qualify as part of the top 1%. What's more, this country has a population equal to a mere 36,000 residents, further highlighting the sheer amount of concentrated accumulated wealth that exists here. I'm talking about none other than Monaco, the sovereign state located on the French Riviera. In order to be considered part of the top 1% in Monaco, you would need to have a net worth of at least $12.4 million, nearly double what's required for top 1% status in Switzerland. What's crazy is that even if you were barely part of the top 1% of wealthiest individuals in Monaco, you wouldn't even be halfway to being classified as an ultra high net worth individual, which is defined as someone with a net worth of $30 million or more, including their primary residence. That just goes to show that your wealth is relative not only to the country that you're living in, but also to all of the other individuals who are considered wealthy by one metric or another. But what if I told you that it's possible to be part of the top 1% without having a high net worth? You see, there's a big difference between being top 1% in terms of net worth and being top 1% in terms of annual income. For example, we mentioned that in order to be part of the top 1% in terms of net worth in the UK, you'd need $3.3 million. However, you'd still be in the top 1% of all adults in the UK if you earned a pre-tax income of £120,000. Earning a pre-tax income of £236,000 would put you in the top 0.5%, while earning £650,000 would put you in the top 0.1%. Likewise, in the US, we know that it would take a net worth of $5.1 million to put you in the top 1%. However, an annual income of $367,582 would put you in the top 1% of earners in West Virginia, that is. The difference between states is quite significant, with Connecticut requiring an annual income of $952,902 to be considered top 1%. Not all top 1% earners are also in the top 1% in terms of net worth, and many will never achieve that milestone. Why? Because it's what you do with the money that you earn which matters the most. Unless you're investing the money that you earn, it's unlikely that you'll be able to build a net worth which qualifies as top 1%, especially in the wealthier countries. But more importantly, not everyone who's in the top 1% in terms of net worth is also a top 1% earner. There are many wealthy individuals who have obtained their wealth through a lifetime of sensible investing, living below their means, and having an affordable lifestyle. Any compound interest calculator will show you that achieving a 7-figure net worth is just a case of investing early and consistently while steadily increasing the size of your investments over time. It obviously helps to have more money at your disposal, but don't think that achieving a high net worth is impossible on an average salary, because it isn't. But the main takeaway from this video is that wealth inequality is pervasive around the world. A global wealth report published by Credit Suisse in 2022 revealed that the average wealth per adult in North America is $560,846, whereas in Africa, the average wealth per adult is just $8,419. That's a mere 1.5% of the North American figure. Granted, North America is an outlier, with many ultra high net worth individuals skewing the average. In Europe, for example, the average wealth per adult is $180,275, which is just 32% of the North American figure. However, the fact remains that the wealth which exists in many parts of the West is far in excess of what can be found on average in poorer parts of the world like Africa and India. The extent to which ultra high net worth individuals skew the average wealth per adult in any given country can be seen by comparing mean wealth per adult with median wealth per adult. Unlike the mean or average value, which is calculated by taking total wealth and dividing it by population size, the median value represents the midpoint for wealth in a given country. The median value tends to be more accurate when assessing wealth, as the average value can be heavily skewed by the top 1%. For example, the average wealth per adult in the United States is $579,050. However, the median wealth per adult in the United States is much lower at $93,270. What's happening here is that the vast amount of wealth that's controlled by the top 1% in the United States is skewing the average upwards for all US adults. So don't feel bad if you're way below the average. It's very likely to be skewed upwards. What's most shocking is the sheer amount of wealth that's controlled by the top 1% globally. This is what's known as the global wealth pyramid, and it provides an estimation of how much wealth is controlled by different segments of the global population. 2.8 billion adults globally have wealth equal to less than $10,000, and the combined total of their wealth is $5 trillion, which accounts for just 1.1% of total global wealth. In other words, the bottom 53% of adults on the entire planet in total control just $1.10 of every $100 that's in existence. Nearly 1.8 billion adults globally have wealth greater than $10,000 but less than $100,000, and in total, they control 13% of total global wealth, equal to $60.4 trillion. 627 million adults have wealth greater than $100,000 but less than $1 million, accounting for 38.1% of global wealth, equal to $176.5 trillion. But just 62.5 million adults globally are classified as high net worth individuals with wealth exceeding $1 million. That's just 1.2% of the total adult population globally. But despite their low numbers, the top 1.2% control 47.8% of total global wealth, equal to $221.7 trillion. To put that into context, the top 1.2% holds over 44 times more wealth in total than the bottom 53%. Wealth inequality has been, is, and will continue to be a major problem facing our society. But how do you think it should be addressed? Let me know in the comments.